The psychic's hands quivered as she reached for the photograph, her breath faltering as though an unseen force had tightened around her throat. A moment ago, she had been calm, her demeanor composed, but now an undeniable shift took over. Her fingers, normally steady, hovered over the image before finally making contact. The energy that pulsed from it made her eyes widen, her expression caught between wonder and fear. Something in the photograph was speaking to her, something beyond what the man sitting across from her could perceive. She seemed lost in another realm, her lips moving in silence, as if deciphering a message only she could hear. The man, watching her every movement, felt an unexpected tension settle in the air. He had expected a simple reading, a vague reassurance, or at worst, a fabricated mystery designed to intrigue him. Instead, he was met with something far more unsettling. The way she held the photograph, as if it carried a burden beyond its physical form, sent a shiver down his spine. When you give with gratitude, the universe rewards you abundantly. Your donation is a seed for your own spiritual and financial growth. Comment 1111 with super thanks to claim it. Placing the image gently on the table, she exhaled slowly, as though releasing a weight from her chest. This person, she finally whispered, her voice barely audible, is not ordinary. The words hung between them, thick with meaning. She glanced up, her gaze locking onto his with such intensity that he felt his pulse quicken. They carry something rare, she continued, her voice steadying. Something that reaches into the deepest corners of a person's soul and brings light to what has long been hidden. The man's throat went dry as her words settled over him. He had known there was something different about the person in the photograph, had felt it in every interaction, in every lingering glance and unspoken moment, but he had never put it into words. Now, hearing it aloud from a stranger, it felt more real, more undeniable. He leaned forward slightly, waiting, needing to hear more, yet dreading what she might say next. Her expression softened, but the seriousness in her eyes remained. People like this, she said, carefully choosing her words, do not enter your life by accident. Their presence is a force of change, whether you are ready for it or not. She folded her hands over the table, studying him. And change, as you know, is never easy. Her voice carried a quiet authority, the kind that left no room for denial. He swallowed hard, an unfamiliar unease creeping into his chest. A flicker of something unspoken passed between them. He thought back to the person in the photograph, the way they had always seemed to unsettle and comfort him in equal measure. There had been moments when their presence felt almost too heavy, as if they knew parts of him that even he had yet to face. He had brushed it off, convinced himself that it was just his imagination. But now, with the psychic's words echoing in his mind, he wasn't so sure. Energy flows where intention goes. By giving, you align yourself with abundance and open the doors for unexpected miracles. Type 999 and send your super thanks now. She leaned in slightly, her voice dropping lower, as if what she was about to say was not meant for the world to hear. You need to understand, she murmured. Their presence in your life is no coincidence. The universe does not place people like this in our path without reason. A chill spread through his veins as he tried to process what she was telling him. If this person was meant to be in his life, then what did that mean for him? What was he supposed to do with this knowledge? Her next words sent a tremor through him. Transformation is rarely gentle, she warned. It will test you. It will demand that you face what you have long avoided. But if you allow it, it will also set you free. A heavy silence stretched between them. The weight of her words pressed against him, forcing him to acknowledge a truth he wasn't sure he was ready for. He had always sought control, comfort in the familiar, but now, for the first time, he wondered if he was meant for something more. Just as the man in the story embraced change, your contribution signals your readiness for personal breakthroughs. Seal your intention by commenting 777 with a super thanks. As the man stepped out of the psychic's dimly lit room, her words clung to him like a shadow, refusing to fade. The photograph remained in his grasp, its edges slightly worn from his touch. He walked through the streets, lost in thought, the weight of what he had just heard pressing against his mind. It wasn't fear that unsettled him. It was something deeper, something that felt like the opening of a door he hadn't even known existed. For the first time, he allowed himself to truly reflect on the person in the photograph. He thought back to every interaction, every quiet moment that had passed between them. At the time, they had seemed ordinary, but now they felt different, layered with meaning he had overlooked. There was something about the way this person existed in the world, how they listened, how they observed, how their presence had always carried an unspoken depth. Had he really missed it all this time, or had he simply refused to see? If this message resonated with you, don't let the moment pass. Show your gratitude by giving back and watch how your own life transforms. Tap Super Thanks now. A storm of emotions stirred within him. Curiosity, unease, and an overwhelming sense of wonder. The psychic had spoken of transformation, of change that was inevitable, but what did that mean for him? What was he meant to do with this revelation? The uncertainty gnawed at him, making him question everything he thought he knew about his connection to this person. It was as though he was standing at the edge of something vast and unknowable, with only his instincts to guide him. He thought about turning away, dismissing it all as coincidence, as something he had misinterpreted. It would be easier that way, to retreat into the safety of what was familiar, to pretend that none of this had ever happened. And yet, the feeling wouldn't leave him. The psychic's words had cracked something open within him, revealing a truth that refused to be ignored. Could he really just walk away from it? The universe responds to action. When you give, you send a signal that you're ready to receive. Type 1111 with your super thanks to activate the flow of abundance. Hours passed, and he found himself still holding the photograph, his mind circling the same thoughts. The choice, as she had said, was his. He could step forward into the unknown, embrace whatever this connection was meant to teach him, or he could continue as he always had, untouched by change, but forever wondering what he had missed. He exhaled slowly, the weight of the decision settling over him. He wasn't sure he was ready, but something inside him whispered that it was time. In the days that followed, he began to see things differently. The psychic's words had planted a seed of awareness within him, and it grew with each passing moment. Memories resurfaced, conversations, fleeting glances, moments he had brushed off as insignificant, but now seemed to carry a greater purpose. He realized that this person had been shaping his life in ways he had never acknowledged. Their presence had been a quiet force, nudging him toward something he had been too afraid to confront. It became clear that the connection was not just about them, it was about him too. About the walls he had built, the fears he had buried, the truths he had ignored. He had spent so long trying to protect himself from vulnerability, from change. But this person had slipped past those defenses effortlessly, revealing parts of himself that he hadn't even realized were hidden. It was unsettling, yes, but it was also undeniably powerful. Energy exchanges are powerful. By donating, you show the universe you're serious about your journey. Comment 999 after sending your super thanks to affirm it. One night, as he sat alone, staring at the photograph, he made his decision. He would not turn away. He would lean into this mystery, step forward despite his doubts, and allow whatever was meant to unfold to do so. He had no map, no certainty of where this path would lead, but for the first time in his life, he was willing to embrace the unknown. Whatever this connection meant, whatever transformation awaited him, he was ready to face it. Giving is not just an act, it's a declaration of faith in your path. Take this step today and unlock the next level of your transformation. Type 777 and donate now. Men.